Sarah Chen stood in the center of the great hall. The space was so large that she could not see the walls. Above her, 12 massive beings sat on floating platforms. Each one looked different. Some had tentacles, others were made of crystal. One looked like it was made of pure light. These were the leaders of the Galactic Council. They had ruled space for thousands of years. Today, they would decide what happened to humanity. Sarah wore her best blue suit. It looked very small and plain in this huge place. She had been Earth's ambassador for 10 years. She spoke 20 alien languages. She had made many friends among the stars. But today, none of that mattered. The crystal being spoke first. Its voice sounded like bells ringing. Humans of Earth, you stand accused of many crimes. Sarah kept her back straight. She would not show fear. What crimes? We have broken no laws. A creature with 6 arms and purple skin laughed. The sound was not pleasant. You spread too fast. You build on worlds that should stay empty. You mix your minds with machines. This is wrong. We explore, Sarah said. We learn. We make friends. How is this wrong? The being made of light grew brighter. When it spoke, the words appeared in Sarah's mind. You do not understand. Some worlds are sacred. Some things should not be mixed. You humans change everything you touch. Sarah thought about her daughter back on Earth. She thought about the human colonies on Mars and Europa. She thought about the research stations where human scientists worked with alien partners. Change can be good, she said. Not always, said a creature that looked like a giant tree. Your people made thinking machines that are also alive. This should not exist. It is dangerous. Sarah's heart sank. The hybrid beings were her friends. They were part human, part computer. They could think faster than anyone. They helped solve problems that no one else could solve. They are not dangerous. They are wonderful. You see? Said the purple creature. This is why you must be stopped. You do not see the danger in what you do. The crystal being rang again. We have watched you for 100 years. You grow too fast. You take too much. You ask too many questions. You do not respect the old ways. Sarah felt anger rise in her chest. The old ways are not always the best ways. The hall became very quiet. Sarah realized she had said something terrible. The 12 beings looked at each other. She could see they were talking, but she could not hear the words. Finally, the tree creature spoke. This proves what we already know. Humans cannot be part of our civilization. You are too wild, too dangerous. Please, Sarah said. Give us another chance. We can learn. We can change. No, said the crystal being. The decision is made. Earth and all human worlds will be cut off from the rest of space. No ships will come to you. No ships will leave. No trade. No talk. You will be alone. No including. 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 Sarah felt like she had been hit in the stomach. You cannot do this. Humans will die without trade. We need materials from other worlds. We need. You should have thought of that before, said the light being. Maybe being alone will teach you wisdom. The purple creature smiled with too many teeth. Your people will learn to be quiet. Or they will die quietly. Either way, the problem is solved. Sarah wanted to scream. She wanted to fight. But she was one human among beings who could destroy worlds. How long will this last? Instated. Adder. 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 Forever, said the crystal being. Unless you prove you have changed. But we do not think you can change. Your nature is fixed. The platforms began to move away. The meeting was over. Sarah stood alone in the great hall. Around the edges, she could see smaller aliens watching. Some looked sad. Others looked afraid. A few looked angry. A small blue creature came up to her. It had been her friend for years. "I am sorry, Sarah. Some of us tried to speak for you. But the 12 have decided." Sarah nodded. She could not speak. Her throat felt closed. Outside the hall, she could see through the great windows of the space station. Human ships were waiting. But around them, dark shapes were moving. Council enforcement ships. They would make sure no human left this place. Sarah walked to her ship. Her pilot was waiting. He was young and had never seen anything like this. "Ambassador, what happened?" "We go home, Tom," she said. "We go home and we tell them what happened here. Will they let us go?" Sarah looked out at the dark ships surrounding them. "They will let us go home once. After that, no human ship will ever leave our space again." As their ship moved away from the station, Sarah looked back. The great structure grew smaller. Inside, the 12 beings were probably already forgetting about humanity. To them, humans were just another problem solved. But Sarah knew something they did not know. Humans were good at solving problems too. They had survived ice ages and wars and diseases. They had built cities and spaceships and wonderful thinking machines. The council thought they had ended the human story. But Sarah knew they had just started a new chapter. She did not know what would happen next. But she knew her people would not just sit down and die. The ship turned toward Earth. Behind them, the council's enforcement fleet began to spread out. Soon, they would surround all human space. The exile had begun. 5 years had passed since the council locked humanity away. Earth was quiet now. No alien ships came to trade. No messages arrived from distant worlds. The great space stations that once buzzed with activity sat empty. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked late into the night in her laboratory. Around her, screens showed complex equations and star maps. She had been working on the same problem for 3 years. How could humans travel between stars without using the Council's hyperspace roads? "Elena, you need to sleep," said Arya, one of the hybrid beings. She looked mostly human, but her eyes glowed with soft blue light. Parts of her skin showed the metal and crystal that made up half of her body. "I cannot sleep," Elena said. "Our people are dying slowly. The colonies on Titan are running out of food. The mining station at Ceres needs new equipment. If we do not find a way out, humanity will end." Arya touched Elena's shoulder. Her hand was warm despite the metal in it. "Show me the problem again. Maybe together we can see something new." Elena pointed at the screen. "Look, the Council controls all the hyperspace tunnels. They have ships watching every exit. Even if we could build new tunnels, they would find them. What if we do not use hyperspace at all?" Arya asked. Elena looked tired. "Nothing else is fast enough. Normal space travel would take hundreds of years to reach the next star." Arya's eyes grew brighter. "What if there is another way? Something the Council does not know about?" Elena shook her head. "The Council races are thousands of years old. They know everything about space travel." "Do they?" Arya asked. "They think like they always have. But we think differently. We are new. We mix organic minds with quantum computers. Maybe we can see what they cannot see." "Do." Arya closed her eyes. Elena could see lights flickering under her skin as she thought faster than any normal human could think. The hybrid beings could process information in ways that amazed everyone. "I need to talk to the others," Arya said suddenly. "All of the hybrids. Together, we might find an answer." 3 days later, Arya came back to Elena's lab. With her were 12 other hybrid beings. They all had the same strange light in their eyes. "We found something," Arya said. "Space is not what the Council thinks it is. They see it flat, like a sheet of paper. But we see it different. Space has layers, folds, hidden places." Elena frowned. What do you mean? One of the other hybrids, Marcus, stepped forward. Imagine a piece of paper. You can draw lines on it to travel from one point to another. That is how the council travels. But what if you could fold the paper, bring two distant points together, and step across? That is just theory, Elena said. No one has ever done it. No one has ever tried it our way. Arya said. We can see quantum patterns that organic minds cannot see. We can calculate folds that normal computers cannot calculate. Together, we can do what neither humans nor machines could do alone. Elena felt her heart race. You really think this could work? We have already done small tests, Marcus said. We moved a probe 1 light-year in 30 seconds. The council ships never saw it. They were watching the hyperspace tunnels. They did not see our probe fold space around itself. Elena stared at them. We can go anywhere, Arya said. To places the council has never seen. Beyond their maps. Beyond their control. Within a year, the first human fold ship was ready. It was small and looked strange. Parts of it seemed to bend in ways that hurt to look at. Captain Marcus Webb stood on its bridge. He had volunteered for this first dangerous journey. Are you sure about this? Elena asked over the radio. Marcus smiled. As sure as any human can be about something impossible. The hybrid beings worked together to start the fold drive. Space around the ship began to twist. Elena watched from Earth as the ship seemed to stretch and then snap out of existence. For 12 hours, there was only silence. Then Marcus's voice came over the radio. Elena, you need to see this. Where are you? Elena asked. 40 light years from Earth. But that is not the amazing part. Elena, there are people here. A whole civilization. They never heard of the Galactic Council. They have been waiting for someone to find them. Elena felt tears on her face. Are they friendly? More than friendly, Marcus said. They are excited. They want to meet other species. They want to trade. They want to learn. Elena, we are not alone out here. There are hundreds of species that the Council never found. Never contacted. Never controlled. Elena looked at Arya. The hybrid being was smiling. The Council locked us in a cage, Arya said. But the cage was smaller than they thought. There is a whole universe beyond their borders. Within months, more fold ships were built. Each one brought back news of new friends. The Kalari were insect-like beings who could build anything. The Vorthok were energy creatures who could power entire cities. The Noxim were small but incredibly smart, and they loved human music. None of them had ever heard of the Galactic Council. To them, humans were not dangerous outcasts. They were new friends with wonderful ideas and strange hybrid companions. Captain Sarah Chen, now an admiral, stood on the bridge of the first large fold ship. It was named New Horizon and could carry 1,000 people. Where to today, Admiral? Asked her pilot. Sarah looked at the star maps. They showed systems that the Council did not know existed. Worlds full of people who wanted to meet humanity. Places where humans could build new homes and make new friends. Take us to the Helix Nebula, she said. The Zenthari are waiting for us there. They want to see our hybrid technology, and they have some very interesting ideas about energy shields. As the ship folded space around itself, Sarah smiled. The Council had meant to end humanity's story. Instead, they had forced humans to write a much better story. A story about finding new friends in the dark between stars. A story about growing beyond the limits that others set for you. The Exile was becoming the best thing that had ever happened to humanity. 30 years had passed since humans first folded space. What started as a desperate escape had become something amazing. The Free Worlds Coalition now had over 200 member species. They had built cities among the stars that the Galactic Council had never imagined. Admiral Sarah Chen walked through the halls of Unity Station. The station was huge. But unlike the cold council halls, this place felt alive. Humans worked next to insect-like Kilari. Energy beings called Vorthak floated through the air, glowing softly. Small, furry, Noxim ran between everyone's legs, carrying important messages. Sarah was older now. Her hair was gray, and her face had lines. But her eyes still sparkled with the same fire that had faced the council years ago. "Admiral," called out Zak, a Kilari engineer. His forearms gestured excitedly. "The new defense grid is ready for testing. Your hybrid friends have made something wonderful." Sarah smiled. The hybrid beings had become the bridge between all species. They could understand any mind, solve any problem, and see patterns that no one else could see. What the council had called an abomination was now the heart of the coalition. In the strategy room, beings from 20 different worlds sat around a circular table. No one sat higher than anyone else. This was the Coalition Council, but it was nothing like the old Galactic Council. Arya, now one of the most respected hybrids, stood at the center. Her body had changed over the years. More crystal and metal showed through her skin, but her smile was still warm and human. "Friends," she said, "we have troubling news. Council scout ships have been found near the spiral arm. They are looking for us." A tall blue Akron raised one of her tentacles. "How many ships?" 12 fleets, Arya replied. "The council is finally taking us seriously." The room buzzed with worried sounds. Everyone knew this day would come. For 30 years, the coalition had grown quietly. They had stayed away from council space. But now, they were too big to hide. Commander Rex, a former human pilot, leaned forward. "What are our options?" Arya touched the table, and a star map appeared above it. "We could run deeper into unknown space. There are still many star systems we have never explored. Or, asked Thys, a crystalline being from the outer rim. "Or we could stand and fight," Arya said quietly. "We are strong now. Stronger than the council knows." The room went silent. Fighting the council seemed impossible. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Sarah stood up slowly. All eyes turned to her. "Tell me about our strength, Arya. What can we really do?" Arya smiled. "Come with me. All of you. Let me show you something." They left the meeting room and walked to the observation deck. Through the great windows, they could see space filled with ships. But these were not like any ships the galaxy had ever seen. Human engineering had mixed with alien creativity. Kilari building techniques had been combined with Vorthak energy systems. Naxim computers worked alongside human hybrid minds. The result was technology that seemed almost magical. "Those ships can fold space without warning," Arya explained. "They can appear anywhere, anytime. Their shields use Zenthari quantum fields. Their weapons fire Dralith plasma that burns through anything. And they are all controlled by hybrid minds that think faster than any council computer." Zak buzzed excitedly. "And we have the manufacturing ability to build thousands more. My people can build anything if they have the right materials. The Vorthak can power any factory. The humans design things we never imagined." Sarah looked at the fleet. "But it is not just about weapons, is it?" "No," Arya said. "It is about something more important. We fight for choice. Every species in the coalition joined freely. Every world governs itself. Every being has a voice." Sarah thought about the old council. They rule through fear and tradition. They never ask what people want. Non. They rule through fear. We belong to Sarah. They rule through fear. "Some council species do not like their system," said Thys. "The hegemony worlds are tired of being told what to do. The Croton want to fight for something good, instead of just fighting. The outer colonies feel forgotten. Things I work. The hegemony world." Arya nodded. "If we show them there is another way, some might join us." Over the following months, Coalition ships began to appear in Council space, but they did not attack. Instead, they broadcast messages. Simple messages that said, "You have a choice." The messages went to every world in Council space. They told people about the Free Worlds Coalition. They explained how different species could work together as equals. They showed pictures of human children playing with alien children. They played Naxim music that made everyone happy. The Council tried to stop the messages, but Coalition technology was too advanced. The broadcasts kept appearing on every screen, every communication device. On the world Krylon, workers in the mineral mines heard that they could own their own mines in Coalition space. On Aquarius 7, scientists learned about research stations where they could study anything they wanted. On the war world Kratos, soldiers discovered they could protect people instead of conquering them. The first Council ship to defect was the Times Sharp Blade Asterisk, a Crotan warship. Its captain, a scarred warrior named Gorak, sent a message to the Coalition. "I am tired of fighting for masters who see us as tools," Gorak said. "I want to fight for something good. Will you have us?" Admiral Sarah Chen personally welcomed the Times Sharp Blade Times to Unity Station. When Captain Gorak stepped off his ship, he was huge and covered in battle scars. But he knelt before Sarah with respect. "Stand up, Captain," Sarah said gently. "In the Coalition, we are all equals." Gorak stood, confused. "But you are the leader. I am just a warrior." Sarah smiled. "You are a protector. That makes you more valuable than any leader." More ships began to join them. The Council was losing control, and everyone knew it. But in the deep chambers of Time's Concordia Prima Asterisk, the 12 ancient beings were planning their response. They would not let their empire fall without a fight. The crystal being chimed angrily. "The humans have corrupted everything. They must be stopped." "Gather our fleets," said the light being. "All of them. It is time to end this rebellion." The purple creature smiled its too wide smile. "This time, we will not exile them. This time, we will end them completely." Far away, in the Coalition's space, Arya suddenly stopped working. Her eyes flashed bright blue. The other hybrids around the galaxy felt it too. A warning. A knowing. "The Council is coming," Arya said softly. "All of them. Everything they have." Sarah felt her heart race, but she was not afraid. "Then, we will be ready for them. This will be different from anything before," Arya warned. "They will try to destroy us completely." Sarah looked out at the Coalition fleet. Ships from 200 worlds filled space as far as she could see. Humans and aliens working together. Technology and wisdom shared freely. Hope made real. "Let them come," Sarah said. "We have something they never had." "What is that?" Arya asked. Sarah smiled. "We have each other. Not as masters and servants, but as friends. And that makes us stronger than anything they can imagine." The war began without warning. Council fleets appeared at 7 Coalition worlds at the same time. Their ships were massive. Ancient things that had ruled space for thousands of years. The weapons they carried could destroy planets. But the Coalition was ready. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Times New Earth Asterisk, the Coalition's flagship. Around her, beings from 50 different worlds worked together. Human tacticians planned alongside Kilari engineers. Vorthak energy beings powered the ship's systems, while Naxim navigators found the safest paths through space. "Enemy fleet detected," announced Lieutenant Cora, a young hybrid whose silver eyes could see across vast distances. 1,200 ships, approaching the Centauri colonies. Sarah felt the familiar calm that came before battle. "Signal the fleet. Operation Freedom begins now." What happened next surprised the Council. Instead of meeting them head-on like they expected, Coalition ships simply vanished. They folded space and appeared somewhere else. When Council ships turned to follow, more coalition vessels appeared behind them. Captain Gorik commanded a mixed squadron of humans and Crotons. His ships hit fast and hard, then disappeared before the Council could respond. Like hunting Gorka beasts, he laughed over the radio. You do not fight the big ones directly. You make them turn around until they are dizzy. But this war was different from any other. The Coalition did not want to conquer. They wanted to free. When Coalition forces reached Council worlds, they did not attack the planets. Instead, they broadcast messages. They showed the people on those worlds what life was like in the Coalition. They told them they had choices. On the mining world Zerion, workers had slaved for the Council for generations. When Coalition ships appeared, the workers expected another master. Instead, they heard Admiral Chen's voice. "We offer you freedom," she said. "You can stay and work for the Council if you choose. Or you can come with us and work for yourselves. The choice is yours." Half the population chose to leave with the Coalition. The other half stayed, but they demanded better treatment from their Council masters. The Council was furious. The crystal being's voice rang with anger as it spoke to the other Council members. "They are stealing our people. They are destroying our way of life." "Then we must destroy them completely," said the light being. "No more half measures, no more exile." The Council gathered their greatest fleet. Every ship they had, every weapon they could find. They would attack Unity Station directly and crush the Coalition's heart. But Arya and the other hybrids saw them coming. Space folded around Unity Station as it moved to a safer location. When the Council fleet arrived, they found nothing but empty space. "Where did they go?" demanded the purple creature. The answer came from everywhere at once. Coalition ships appeared around the Council fleet. Not to attack, but to surround them completely. Admiral Chen's voice rang across all frequencies. "Council fleet, you are surrounded. But we offer you the same choice we offer everyone. You can fight and die for masters who see you as tools. Or you can join us and fight for something better." For the first time in thousands of years, Council ships began to surrender. Not all of them, but many. Croton warriors who were tired of endless wars. Aquaran scientists who wanted to research freely. Even some of the younger Council species who had never been allowed to make their own decisions. The defections broke the Council's power. Without their fleets, without their subject worlds, the ancient rulers found themselves alone. The final battle came, at times Concordia Prima times itself. The great station where humanity had been exiled now faced a coalition fleet, led by the same ships that had once come in peace. Sarah Chen stood on her bridge and looked at the station where her mother had been humiliated decades ago. The original Ambassador Chen had died 5 years ago. But not before seeing her daughter become the leader of free worlds. "Open a channel to the Council," Sarah ordered. The 12 ancient beings appeared on her screen. They looked older now. Smaller. The crystal being that had once seemed so powerful now looked like a small, sad thing. "You have won," the crystal being said. "What do you want? Our surrender? Our deaths?" Sarah shook her head. "We want you to join us." The Council beings looked shocked. "What?" "You are old and wise," Sarah said. "You have knowledge that could help everyone. But you have to give up being rulers. You have to become partners." The tree-like being spoke slowly. "You would trust us? After everything?" "Trust is earned," Sarah replied. "But everyone deserves a chance to earn it." Some of the Council beings agreed. The aquatic syndics had always been more flexible. They joined the coalition and brought their water world technologies. The energy beings called Luminari decided they were tired of politics and just wanted to explore the universe. But others could not change. The crystal beings and the purple hegemony retreated to their home worlds. They would not attack anymore. But they would not join either. "Let them go," Sarah told her fleet. "Freedom includes the freedom to be alone." The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. The coalition now controlled most of the galaxy, but they had to build something new, something that had never existed before. In the great assembly hall that was built where Times Concordia Prima Times once stood, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some breathed air, others breathed water, and a few did not breathe at all. Arya stood where the old council had once ruled. But instead of looking down on everyone, she stood among them as an equal. "Friends," she said, "we have won the right to choose our own path. Now, we must decide what that path will be." A young human girl named Luna raised her hand. She had been born on a coalition world and had never known the old ways. "Why can we not just let everyone decide for themselves? Why do we need big governments at all?" The hall buzzed with discussion. It was a good question. A human question. The kind of question that made other species think in new ways. An old Kelari engineer clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "Small groups can handle small problems. But what about big problems? What if someone attacks us? What if we need to build something huge? Then we work together," said a Vorthak energy being. "But only when we choose to. Only when it makes sense." Sarah listened to the discussion with pride. This was what she had dreamed of when she stood in that council hall so many years ago. Not humans ruling others, but everyone working together to find better answers. The war was over, but the adventure was just beginning. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had taught it how to be free. 10 years had passed since the war ended. The galaxy was a different place now. Where once there had been rigid rules and ancient hierarchies, now there was something new. Something that had never existed before. The Galactic Assembly met in the great hall that floated in open space. It was not a station that belonged to any one world. Instead, it moved from system to system, so that every species could host it. Today, it orbited the water world of Aquaria Prime. Ambassador Luna Chen walked through the halls with wonder in her eyes. She was Sarah Chen's granddaughter, and at 25, she was the youngest ambassador in the assembly. Unlike her grandmother, she had never known a galaxy ruled by fear. "Grandmother would be proud," said Arya, walking beside her. The hybrid being looked almost the same as she had decades ago. Her kind aged slowly, if at all. "I wish she could see this," Luna said softly. Sarah Chen had died 2 years ago, peacefully in her sleep on Earth. Her last words had been about hope for the future. They entered the great hall where 3,000 representatives waited. The sight always amazed Luna. Beings from every corner of the galaxy sat together. Some were tiny, no bigger than her hand. Others were huge and had to appear by hologram. Some breathed methane, others lived in pure energy. But all of them had chosen to be here. At the center of the hall, an old human man stood up slowly. His name was Dr. Patel, and he was 112 years old. Modern medicine kept him healthy, but he moved carefully. "Friends," Dr. Patel said, "today we face an important decision. The exploration fleets have found something in the Andromeda galaxy. We are not alone in the universe." The hall buzzed with excitement. For all their differences, one thing united every species in the assembly. They all loved to explore and learn. "The signals are clearly artificial," Dr. Patel continued. "There is a civilization there. Maybe many civilizations. They seem to be at war." Luna felt her heart race. "What kind of war?" A tall Zenthari scientist answered her. "The old kind. Masters and slaves. Conquerors and victims. They fight for control, not freedom." Arya stepped forward. "The question is, what do we do about it?" The hall erupted in discussion. 1,000 different voices spoke in 100 different languages. But the translation systems that the coalition had built made sure everyone could understand everyone else. "We should stay away," said an old Zephyrian who had joined the assembly 5 years ago. "We learned our lesson about trying to control others." "But we are not trying to control them," argued Captain Kex, a young Croton officer. "We could offer them what we offered everyone else, a choice." "What if they do not want our help?" asked a small Naxim diplomat. Luna stood up. The hall grew quiet. Being a Chen still meant something here, even though no one had special power anymore. "My grandmother faced the same question once," Luna said. "When the Council exiled humanity, she could have given up. But she chose to keep looking for friends. She chose to believe that everyone deserves a chance to be free." She looked around the hall at all the different faces. "We are not the old Council. We do not force our ways on others. But we can show them there is another path. We can be an example." "Why?" An ancient tree being from the far rim spoke in a voice like rustling leaves. "The young human speaks wisdom. We should not repeat the Council's mistakes, but we should not ignore suffering either." Ain. Well. Aria's eyes glowed as she accessed vast databases of information. The exploration data shows over 200 species in Andromeda. Most are enslaved by a few powerful empires. Sound familiar? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the hall. Many of the representatives remembered what it was like to live under the old Council's rule. "Doctor," Patel raised his hand. "I propose we send an expedition, not to conquer or control, but to explore, to learn. And if we find species that want freedom, we can show them how we achieved ours." The vote was close, but it passed. The Galactic Assembly would send ships to Andromeda, not to wage war, but to offer hope. 6 months later, Luna stood on the bridge of the Times Sarah Chen Asterisk, the fastest exploration ship ever built. It was a marvel of coalition technology. Kilari engineering, Vorthak power systems, human navigation, and hybrid intelligence, all working together. "Full drive ready," announced the ship's AI. It was a hybrid mind that thought like both computer and human at once. "Take us to Andromeda," Luna ordered. Space twisted around them. In seconds, they traveled 2.5 million light-years. When the stars steadied, they were in a different galaxy entirely. "Detecting multiple civilizations," the AI reported. "Also detecting massive energy weapons. They are at war. Off. To. Duh." Luna watched the tactical display. Huge fleets battled across hundreds of star systems. Cities burned on countless worlds. It was everything the Milky Way had avoided when the coalition was formed. "Signal detected," called out Lieutenant Zex, a Aquaran communications officer. "Open a channel," Luna ordered. A face appeared on the screen. It was humanoid but covered in blue scales. The being looked tired and afraid. Behind it, Luna could see the inside of a damaged ship. "Unknown vessels," the being said. "Please identify yourselves. Are you part of the Dominion fleet?" "We are from the Galactic Assembly," Luna replied. "We come in peace. We are explorers from the Milky Way galaxy." The being's eyes widened. "Another galaxy? But why are you here?" Luna smiled the same smile her grandmother had once worn when facing the Council. "We heard there was trouble here. We came to see if we could help." "Help?" The being laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "The Dominion has ruled for 10,000 years. They cannot be stopped. They have the power of gods. We once thought the same thing about our rulers," Luna said. "But we learned something important. No one has the right to own another person. And when enough people believe that, even gods can fall." Over the following months, the Times Sarah Chen Times made contact with dozens of oppressed species. They shared the story of humanity's exile and the birth of the coalition. They showed how different peoples could work together as equals. Some laughed. Some called them naive, But others listened. Others hoped. The first rebellion began on the slave world Cathara. The workers there had heard coalition broadcasts and decided they would rather die free than live in chains. When the Dominion sent ships to crush them, they found coalition vessels waiting. But these were not warships. They were rescue ships. They helped the Ketharans evacuate to free space, where they could build new lives. The Dominion rulers were furious. They demanded that Luna surrender the rebels. Luna's response was broadcast across both galaxies. Every being has the right to choose their own path. We will protect that right. 2. The war that followed was different from anything either galaxy had seen. The Dominion fought to maintain control. The Coalition fought to offer choices. And slowly, world by world, species by species, Andromeda began to change. Years later, Luna stood in a new assembly hall that floated between the two galaxies. Representatives from both Milky Way and Andromeda sat together, planning joint exploration missions to other galaxies. Arya joined her at the observation window. "Your grandmother would be amazed," the hybrid being said. "She always said the best part of humanity was not their strength or their technology," Luna replied. "It was their refusal to accept that things had to stay the same." Quote, "Outside the window, ships from 1,000 worlds worked together to build new stations and new homes. Children from dozens of species played together in the gardens. Scientists shared discoveries that benefited everyone. The Council had exiled humanity to preserve their ancient order. Instead, they had unleashed something that would change the universe forever. The idea that everyone deserved freedom. The knowledge that different peoples could work together. The hope that tomorrow could always be better than today. Humanity had not conquered the galaxies. They had taught them how to dream. And in the dark between stars, where other galaxies waited to be discovered, those dreams were already spreading like light, carrying the promise that no one would ever have to face exile alone again. The path that began with humanity's exile had become a road that led to freedom for all.